Okay, everybody, hello again, and let's go ahead and get into the new material. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting off with a different way of getting into the mount position from side control. So what we're going to do here um, is I'm going to be in this side control position. I know I've in the review I missed the crossbody, right? That's where you flip the head up and then pinches your knee and elbow together so his head's resting there. So there's the thing I missed. All right, I have ADHD. That's why I say a lot. That's why I'm kind of spastic. So just so you know, here we go. All right. So what I'm doing a transition to a reverse switch base, which is going to allow me to come into mount. What I'm going to do is I'm going to release this hand, right, and I'm going to put it on the other side under his arm, right? So if his arm is here, right, I'm going to kind of tuck it in underneath here, right? And it's kind of important a little bit. For one, you see that my hands are out here a little bit. And the reason for that is that you see my hips have come up, I'm a little bit further out, so he might actually start to try to buck and roll me this way. So this is going to be part of my connection to the ground, right? So I'm connected through my elbows and my knees. I'm rooted in the floor through my knees mostly, but I've got the hands now onto the floor. And from here, I'm going to kind of arch and extend my back a little bit, right? So I'm kind of dropping my low sternum into him. So my pressure is still going to be on this near side with my lower chest kind of puffing out into it. So from here, right, I got that kind of nice tuck here. I'm going to move this hand between his thigh and my body. So I'm blocking his hip. And then it's going to be the same kind of thing, right? In this one, you know, you could do kind of the same drop over, but we don't have the same risks here. So kind of one way that I kind of prefer to do this, and people might disagree with me on that, and you're welcome to say so and show what you think is better. But here we are. I'm going to take this leg, straighten it down, and I'm going to glue, and I'm going to let my weight anchor into the ground with this hip. Now, my partners are not usually this thick, so there usually won't be that much gap. My pressure is my rib cage on his rib cage. My connection is elbow to hip right here. I've got this hand now free and my knees close here, and I'm blocking this hip right with his hand. So now I'm going to start to lift up this leg and slide my leg through. So I'm in this kind of reverse scarf hold or switch base position. It doesn't really matter too much because he's not going to be able to really bridge up and kind of take me back and do anything with that. So in a perfect scenario, I've gotten under both of his elbows, right? So what happens, I might be closer to hips and I might slide my hip underneath the elbows so that his elbows are a little bit separated from his body. Obviously, I can't really attack from this position, or at least I can't attack that. So I've gotten into this reverse switch base position. My hand is up because I don't want to take a knee to the face, right? And so I'm going to bring those knees together, right? And I'm going to step over and then hook under, and I'm going to Superman slide into this position. So it's going to be the same kind of connection as when we're in a low mount, where my hips are connected to his hips, my feet are off the ground, my feet come together, and I'm trying to keep all my weight on those hips, not like that, right? Again, it's easier to move if you have a single point of pressure rather than trying to spread your weight all over everything, right? What I'm going to go ahead and transition to now, it's going to be the same deal, right? So we had this position, right? I'm going to take this arm out, right? Again, this position's not as strong now. I'm going to go ahead and bring up, and I'm going to tuck that under his elbow as much as I can. I want that elbow a little bit separated from his body if I can. Again, I'm not really looking to attack here. I'm just trying to establish good connection. So from here, I'm going to move the other hand to block the hip, and I'm going to slide my knee along his body to kind of drop my hip. So I know it's a little bit different, but whatever. I'm on this hip. I'm rooting the floor through this hip. I've got this connection here. My pressure is on that near side shoulder, right? And if I can, I'm going to slide back, right? So I might be here and I might slide back so I'm under both elbows. What I really don't necessarily want is I don't want him to get that other arm free in between us, because he might be able to start to escape his hips out if he does that. He might actually, I might have to end up in a north-south position or something in order to kind of maintain control. So I want to be I don't want him to get that other arm under, because that's what's going to give him a little bit of power there. My hand is up to block, and from here, I'm going to bring his knees together, right? Because I don't want them to be mobile. I'm going to kind of actually get them a little bit pointed towards that wall. And so I get those together, and I come high, I hook, I Superman out, and I come down into this low mount position. Again, my weight's my hips as much as I can. Again, this is a big partner, so whatever. I'm connected through my feet. I'm rooting the floor through my knees, my hips, or my knees and my hands, and my hips are my pressure. Okay? One last time. So I'm here, pinch, pinch. Take this up, come here, block the hip, slide that leg through, right? The first time I had slid this leg back and gone into this, that's fine, right? I'm still blocking this side with this hand. But that sliding of the knee across the body is just going to create better connection. So I'm sorry I gave you that in the first place anyways. So I'm here, I'm going to bring those legs together. Now, a few things that can happen here, right? So my partner's in this position. A lot of times in order to kind of prevent somebody get into this, the mount position from here, because they know it's coming, is they're going to put their foot up here and they're going to create a little shield here. Now, what I can do about that, the first one is really easy. I'm going to tap it out and then bring those legs together and step over, right? It's going to be the same kind of deal. The second one that I can do here is I can grab his little toes and I can pull him back to him. And he's going to feel that and be like, oh shit, he's trying to submit me. And they're going to defend by kicking their leg back themselves, right? The other one, if maybe they hide that away or something, I don't know. But if you don't feel like you want to do that, maybe they might complain that it's a knee lock, like a heel hook type thing that you're trying to do there. You can potentially get disqualified in certain tournaments. So, if that's your option, and if that's not working because maybe they curl around like that so they can't be pushed off or whatever, the third option here is I'm going to take this leg, right? And the problem with this one is that people try to keep that knee up, and I don't have that mobility to get over, right? What I need to do in order to get that leg through, so I'm going to thread it, is I need to drop my knee down, right? So my shin is now parallel to the ground. I'm going to grab my own toes. I'm going to slide it across. Boom. Okay. So, pinch, pinch, pressure, connection, rooted into the ground here. I'm going to take this guy out, grab my own foot, slide it across, and Superman out. Alright, so that's going to be kind of your more common way of transitioning into the mount position. Notice that we're going to the low mount. Okay, the reason why we're doing that is because the low mount is the most stable of all the mount positions. It's if somebody's giving you a lot of trouble and you're in that medium, high mount, S mount, whatever, what we're going to usually do to kind of mitigate that is we're going to go back to the low mount because it's the hardest to escape from. So again, we're looking to try to establish as good a control as we possibly can. So that is why we're kind of going to this low mount and we're establishing good control before we move on to more attack available mounts, because again, I'm balancing here. I can't really start to commit my hands to separating hands from his body to start working on getting lapel chokes or anything like that. So from this low mount position, it's mostly for control. You can maybe set up a head and arm choke. You might be able to set up an Ezekiel choke. And another little thing that I'm going to say about the low mount is that for me, a lot of times, if I feel like I'm losing the low mount and they're really starting to open up my gate or whatever, I will a lot of times when somebody's trying to flatten out this foot so that they can do a step over escape, I'll just take this foot and put it right back up and come right back into the knee ride. Because again, that's for me a much easier position for me to maintain is the knee ride, even more so than the mount. So you might not find that that's true for yourself, but for just kind of general, kind of think about that as, anything that you're doing here can be reversed to a certain extent. And you can get into other positions if you're having trouble maintaining a position. So, and I didn't mention this earlier, but when you're rolling, there isn't any one right answer. Like I said on the, I think the intro video, that you could say, well, what if you do this to shut down that technique? There's always a way to shut down every technique out there, every position out there. That is what the study of jiu-jitsu is all about. But ADHD moment there, completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, for as far as like what you do, how you respond to each situation, it's not going to be like, here's the textbook answer, right? You're going to find out what you suck at and what you're great at. And, a lot of people, my coach has 2 to 3 takedowns that he ever uses in tournaments because they are strong points for him. There are positions that you might find, maybe you're a big guy and maybe certain positions are really hard for you to maintain, or you're a tiny guy and you don't have the weight, and you're kind of still, no matter how much you root in the floor, you get turned in a side control position all the time. I still think that there's ways that you can prevent that, but find your strengths and practice those strengths. Get really good at 1 or 2 side control positions, 1 or 2 transitions to knee right or to the mount, whatever works for you, and let that become your game. Don't try to be, oh well, here's this dogmatic one way that you have to do things, because that is definitely not the case. There are definitely things that you should know. There are definitely things and you should practice everything. You absolutely should, because you're never going to find what you're good at unless you do. But when it comes to what you dedicate to try to develop your game, follow your interests, follow what you're good at, and go from there. Don't try to stick to whatever one person tells you this is the one right way to do it, because that is definitely not the case. All right, I've ranted again. I apologize. Let's get on to the next one.